Hey everyone, welcome to the 219th episode of the Internet of Things podcast. This is your host, Stacey Higginbotham, and your co-host,
Kevin Toffel.
And we have a show that is all about you guys. It is our biannual, semi-annual, how many annuals is this? Twice a year question and answer post where you call us, ask us a couple questions or one, and we will give you the answer. In this week's show, we're going to be talking about smart stove monitoring systems, monitoring your washer and dryer, figuring out if someone has left you some mail, and a little bit about my switch to Google Home. Plus, so much more. But first, before we kick it off, a message from our sponsor. This week's sponsor is Nordic Semiconductor. Are you planning a wireless IoT project that needs best-in-class performance and great energy efficiency? Then the nRF52 series wireless SoCs should be your first stop. Nordic Semiconductor offers a broad selection of multi-protocol SoCs to match your requirements for features, size, and cost. The NRF series range from baseline network processor devices to advanced concurrent protocol devices with extensive peripherals. All devices are supported with the largest SDK you will find from a low-power wireless semiconductor company. So if you're planning a project with Bluetooth Low Energy, Zigbee, Thread, or ANT, check out the nRF52 series SoC family at nordicsemi.com. Okay, Kevin. I love doing this show, except it's kind of hard on us. Is it hard on us? We have to look up a lot.
Yeah, no, I enjoy the show. There's lots of great questions that we get. And since we only do one voicemail question during the regular weekly show, this lets us catch up in a sense and get back to everybody else who might have called.
I should mention that throughout this year, we have two voicemail sponsors for the show. One is Schlage, which makes smart locks, a variety of high-quality smart locks that everyone knows and loves, and Affero, which is an IoT development platform. And you hear about them almost every other episode on the show, so you probably know about them, but we do want to give a big shout-out since this is all brought to you by them.
Yay.
All right. Yay, Schlage! Yay, Affero! All right, let's kick it off with a message from Jeremy, who I believe is a teacher. Let's hear it.
Hi, this is Jerry from Little Rock. I'm looking for something for the educational market that would help introduce students to AI. We've tinkered with chatbots and like to incorporate this into working with skills from Adame or Google Home. Our issue is that these devices have to be tied to an account. So my question is this the better route to go? And if so, do you have ideas on how to get this happier in an educational market? But perhaps the bigger question, do you have an opinion of a better route to go to introduce AI? Thanks in advance. Love your show.
Oh, Jeremy, I like you so much for being a caring, smart, exciting teacher. I wish I were in your class.
Yes, and it's ironic that Jeremy is asking this question because in my comp sci class at my local community college, we ran into the same issue. Yes, they're older students, probably older than the students that Jeremy's teaching, but we couldn't get access to the student emails through like Google Cloud and other things we wanted to use. So I had to use my own personal account for all of our API calls and whatnot. So I totally get it. And even more so because this is really tricky if the students or the kids are under 13, because in most cases, then they can't have an account.
Well, they can have one, but it's tied to their family.
Yeah, it's just, I don't even know if that kind of account, I'm not going to call it a sub account, but. Mm-hmm.
Google has school-related accounts.
Yes.
But I haven't seen assistant and home devices attached to it yet.
Right. And they would need an account that kind of works with Assistant if they want to tinker with the APIs that Google provides for this kind of stuff. And Google's not the only one. I mean, we should mention Amazon and Microsoft and many, many other companies have APIs that would be useful for what Jeremy's looking for. So I hate to say it. I have a couple options. One is to do what I just did. I registered my account for different API services. Some were for Google, some were for LifeX, etc., to get an API key. And once you have the API key, if you're going to do any kind of like coding, you can just let the students and the kids use that API key to access any cloud type AI or ML services. So that's one option. There are a couple of things out there, some products. One is relatively new because it's on Kickstarter right now. And in fact, it's Mike Elgin's son, who Mike Elgin, for those who don't know, he does he used to do the This Week in Google show. You've talked to him before, Stacey, right? You know Mike.
Oh, yeah, I know Mike. He's a smart fella.
And his son is a very smart fellow, too, because he has a Kickstarter right now that already met its goal. It's already funded. It's called the Chatterbox. And it's a DIY smart speaker that he says anyone can program. And the reason this is really geared towards kids is that everything happens on the device. So you don't even need any accounts.
There might be some parents out there who are like, I don't want my kid's voice in the cloud. I don't know. It's a thing.
It's a thing, but this is a little smart speaker set. It's powered by Raspberry Pi, and it has a cute little cardboard casing that the kids created that makes it look like a standing up robot. A little boxy, but still kind of cute. So, additionally, you can program it. It looks like it's Blockly to me, which is like a drag and drop kind of programming language. So it's not like too complex for the kids to, play with the voice services on this thing. So that's an option.
What age range for those kind of kids for that particular device?
Honestly, I mean, you could probably go to, I would say, down to age, I'd say 6 or 7 with supervision.
Oh, wow. Okay. And how much is it?
So this started out at $99, and all the backers ate that up, and then it went to $109, and they ate that up too. So I don't see how you can order it just yet because the Kickstarter is over. So what I would say is go to the Kickstarter website and follow along with what's going on, because when they make this for sale, I'm sure they'll tell you where you can get it at that point.
Got it. Okay. And you said you had one other option?
I do. Google actually makes something very similar called their Vision Kit. That's the AIYprojects.withgoogle.com site where you can buy the voice kit or an Edge TPU if you want, but specifically the Vision Kit. I look through there, and if you want to get into AI with computer vision, I don't see any requirement on that says you need a Google account. I do see it for the voice kit. So I believe it's like pre-configured to use a test account to access the vision services, so to speak. In which case, you don't need to worry about credentials and such.
Oh, nice. Okay. So you could just get this and do some unauthorized computer vision. Woo!
Well, no, it's authorized, just not traceable, trackable, etc.
Nice. There we go. Okay. So, Jeremy, hopefully some of that helps you. Hopefully you have the budget to do some of this with your kids. It sounds like a lot of fun. Okay. Next up, we have a question from Keith, who is just checking up on me. Thanks, Keith. Let's hear it.
Hi, Stacey and Kevin. This is Keith from Glendale, Arizona. Just got a question. Stacey, at the beginning of the year, you mentioned that you're going to move everything over to Google Home versus using Alexa products, Madam A. So kind of curious how that is going, and do you want to go back? And I'd like to get your experience with that, what you like and dislike, and if you do go back, why are you going back?
Oh, Keith, this is really a sad, sad story. I switched everything to Google. You're correct. I loved it. And actually, my family loves the Google Smart Display that we have. We have the 10-inch Lenovo Smart Display. And then I had a Google Home and a couple minis running around. I can tell you that everything was unplugged within probably 2 weeks. And the reason was I had done the voice match. And with a voice match, which wasn't too strong,
didn't work.
It wasn't very good.
Yeah.
It did not work well for me. It basically couldn't recognize my voice probably half of the time. It did great with my husband's voice, but at first he was kind of hacked off because he had to go train it. And so he was like, rah, rah, rah. This is a pain in the butt. And then it didn't recognize my daughter at all. And to get her voice match on there because she wasn't using a phone with a Google account on it, because she was under 13 and technically can't have one, was a whole thing that we just did not do. So it was awesome in theory that I could be like, hey, what's on my calendar? And my husband could say, call mom, and it would call his mom as opposed to my mom. But we had to turn that off. But before we turned it off, basically everyone in my house went over back to Madam A because they were kind of trained to use her. And we kept the main Google Home Hub plugged in. And once we turned off the voice recognition capability, people used it sometimes, but again, for our most basic commands, it didn't work as well. So when we'd ask for it to turn on the television, sometimes it would be able to do it, sometimes it wouldn't. And then if it didn't, we'd say, okay, ask Harmony, because we were using a Logitech Harmony to turn on the television. Then it would do it, but it was a little hit or miss. My daughter didn't like using it because Google still doesn't play the same thing she wants to play with Spotify. Their Spotify integration is still a little wonky, so sometimes it still plays the karaoke versions of popular songs instead of the actual song. Whereas Madam A is like, oh, you want to hear Blank Space by Taylor Swift? I got that. And she plays that, right? Google sometimes would play an instrumental version, and you'd be like, why, Google? Is that really what people want to hear? That's kind of how that went. We still have the display, and we love it because it's showing photos, and that's super fun. Everyone likes that. And we use it to settle, like, I call them barroom arguments, but really it's, supper table arguments where we're sitting down at dinner and we're having, like, why is it this way? So we do tend to ask Google more questions. But I mean, I had the Madam A unplugged for maybe a week before my family mutinied, and we're like, no, this is terrible.
So when you end up in your final destination in Seattle, I assume you're going to put Madam A back in everywhere.
Yeah, it's Madam A all the way. Yeah. Although this will be a challenge because of the whole Nest deprecation kind of issue. We do, like, the smart doorbell of choice for me is the Nest Hello. So since I already have the Google display, should I, use that display to show us who's at the door, like when we're in the kitchen? It already shows us video from, since we have it, we're probably going to just use the Nest.
Right. That makes sense. It's interesting. My experience, not that I moved or anything, and not that Keith cares about my house as much as yours. My experience is very different, and we're all Google. And the difference is...
Did you ever try the voice match?
I was just going to say, the difference is we don't use the voice match because if I want personal information, I just use my phone for that. And everybody else uses their phone for that. They're not big into sitting around the kitchen table and then asking the smart display what's next on their calendar because they just use their phones more. And that's just a difference of how they use it. That's fine. So no voice match. And they don't really use either of the smart speaker platforms that much at all by comparison to me. So they don't really care as much.
This is how much we use it in my house.
No, that's great.
We are actually, we're packed completely. By the time you guys hear this, I'll have been in Seattle. But we're like, the idea of living for 2 weeks out of a suitcase, we still had to keep one Amazon Echo device.
Well, you guys use it for music, as do I. Nobody else in my house listens to music but me. But you use the services that come with these devices far more than my family does. Myself,
music, timers.
Yeah.
Like my husband is like, we have the Echo in my daughter's room so she can use it as her alarm clock. But every night before he goes to bed, my husband's like, Madam A, set it.
Yeah. I'll use a voice assistant to preheat the June oven, for example.
Oh, yeah, that's awesome because your hands are all sticky. Mm-hmm.
No, just because I don't feel like getting up. But my wife will walk out of the room, go across the house, hit the button, walk all the way back and sit down. And I'm like, why are you doing that? You can just say it. Nah, I don't want to.
She's way healthier. I'm actually using it to add data to my Fitbit now on how much water I've drunk. So I'm like, yeah.
Smart.
So Keith, that is how I'm going. It's pretty much variable, depends on your situation. And I'm all in on Google, so I really wish it would work better for us. Okay, let's see. We have got a question from No Name, an unnamed individual coming up, but this is a question we've gotten a couple times. Kevin's actually tried to do this a couple different ways.
Yes.
So this is all about making your washing machine smarter. Let's listen in.
Hi, Kevin and Stacey. I just had a quick question in regards to my not smart washer and dryer machines. They unfortunately have plugs that do not work with normal outlet monitoring. So I haven't been able to just use energy monitoring to let me know when my laundry is finished. I was wondering if you guys had any other suggestions. Thank you.
Yeah, so you're right, Stacey. We probably get this question like at least every 2 months. There's a lot of folks that want to know how to do this. What's the easiest way to do it? The thing is, there's no truly easy way to do it. The way I think people would like it to work, we have to kind of...
Wait, there is one easy way.
How's that?
The easiest way to do this is to buy a connected washer and dryer. But if you don't want to buy a whole new washer and dryer, and I don't blame you, now we get into it.
Yeah, okay, all right. So there's your $1,000 option.
Kevin's like, I wasn't even considering that.
No.
I'm like, I'm crazy. I'll do it.
No, I mean, no. I found a bunch of folks that have had success with the SmartThings multi-sensor, which measures vibration. I think it measures noise, but
It measures vibration, temperature, open, close, humidity. I think there's an accelerator. Yeah, the open, close is the accelerometer.
Right. Yeah. But basically, they're focused on the vibration piece of this because they attach this to their washer dryer and basically set up a rule that says, send an alarm if it stops vibrating for X number of seconds or minutes. You need to set that there. And actually there is like a skill for that to set that. So you need to make sure because these things cycle through. So the devices may stop vibrating for maybe 30 seconds, 45 seconds. Who knows? Maybe because it's refilling water in the washer, etc. So you need to understand and adjust that for your particular washer dryer. But that's what folks have been very happy with, considering that it just isn't a great off the shelf option other than, as we said, buying a whole new set of appliances. You could also make your own. I wouldn't say it's easier, but it's an option for people who like to tinker. We can put a link in the show notes to a Raspberry Pi appliance monitor, and it does the same thing with a vibration sensor. So if you don't feel like buying one, you can make your own.
In that scenario, though, I have to buy the Pi. Do I have to program it for, do I have to download some sort of AI recognition? Okay. And then I need to have a wireless component. I need to get a shield or a hat for Bluetooth?
No.
Oh,
you can do it over Wi-Fi, and the Pis, almost all of them come with Wi-Fi.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, so you don't have to add any special radio frequencies or anything like that. But as far as downloading code, no, you're absolutely right. And the link we have is actually to a GitHub project, so the code's already there as well as the instructions. So it's not terrible, even if you're a first-time user, because you can just download the code that is up on GitHub to the Pi and just pretty much run it. But another option that some people do, and I don't recommend, you can actually make a 220 volt outlet smart, but every time I've seen that, you have to hardwire your appliance to this outlet, this plug, and that's not something I would. At that point, you might as well just go buy a new washer.
Yeah, you don't want to play with 220 volts of electricity.
No, not so much.
If you do that wrong, that's not a cool thing to have happen in your home. No. Okay, so those are really good options. Let's pause for a moment and take a break this week's sponsor. This week's sponsor is Dell Technologies. We are taking a quick break from the Internet of Things podcast for a message from our sponsor. This week's sponsor is Dell Technologies, and I'm here with Chris Lynch. Hi, Chris. Thanks for joining our podcast today. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Hi, Stacy. Thanks for having me. Sure. My name's Chris Lynch. I've been in oil and gas about 30 plus years, doing mostly enterprise data architecture, digital oil field, and just recently Internet of Things.
So with your oil and gas background in data architecture and digital oil field solutions, where and how have you seen oil and gas using IoT?
As you know, oil and gas is a very process control, automation-oriented business. So we have seen 4 major areas of growth for IoT. Number 1 is capturing stranded data. Number 2 is capturing data at an increased velocity. Number 3 is actually providing more analytics and applications at the edge. And the 4th area that is really exploding is using non-typical data types like video, audio, thermographic imaging to do real-time operations analytics.
Excellent. So what are some of the key areas for companies to think about if they want to deliver successful IoT projects, specifically in oil and gas?
Number 1, we have to remember it's first and foremost about business. How do you help the business be successful through increasing production, improving efficiencies, and driving down costs? So in the context of business, typically oil field operations are driven through some level of automation or process control network. So the 4 key areas that you must understand are, number 1, what is your current automation environment? How do I install some IoT devices to make it better in the context of the 4 areas we talked about earlier? Number two, how do I capture it and bring it into a data environment that I can integrate other data to use with it? And number three, how do my consumers of that data scientists, want to use the data? And of course, relating back to the business, how will my end users actually consume and use this through integration and workflows, right? So there are the four areas from the oil and gas. And then when you look a little differently, there's three other key components. Number one, what's my connectivity? So I can't increase my velocity if I don't have the right level of telecommunication and connecting the field. Number two, what sensors do I have in place? Do I have to add more sensors? And the last thing, of course, is what level of Dell infrastructure and security do I have in place? You put these things all together, you understand how they work together, and you can make a really good business case, and you can deliver a really successful project around IoT for oil and gas.
So I understand Data-Driven Production is coming up in Houston, June 11th and 12th. What can we expect to see from Dell Technologies at the show?
Dell was proud to be the headliner, again, for this year's Data-Driven Drilling and Production. At this event, you'll be able to see a completely integrated demonstration showing edge-to-core cloud capabilities using our technology, using data, and using workflows to enable operating companies to get that next level of efficiencies and next level of production improvements and next level of cost reduction to really impact your bottom line.
Thanks, Chris. Where can people go to learn more about Dell IoT solutions?
Thanks for your time today, Stacy. And if people want to learn more about our solutions, they can go to delltechnologies.com/IoT.
And we're back with another question about appliances. This one is from Kevin, but not this Kevin, a different Kevin. Kevin is worried, like many of us are, about leaving the stove on. Let's hear what he wants to do.
Hi, Stacey and Kevin. I absolutely love your show. I'm Kevin from Michigan. I was wondering, you've answered this question a lot for refrigerators. I freak out about my stove being left on. Right now, I have a Wyze camera pointed at it, so I can just pop up the camera feed and see if my light is on. Is there a better way that I could monitor whether or not I leave my stove and oven on? Thanks a lot. Again, love the show. Bye.
All right, Kevin. I'm glad you're trying to take care of your family. I've got a couple options for you. This is a weird space because people have built stuff for it and then it didn't sell because a lot of these are very expensive. So we discovered one, which is called Wallflower. And this is a device that will tell you that you have left your stove on. It will not actually turn it off.
Correct. It's just for notifications if you've left it on.
And the reason, and this is an outlet. So this is an outlet that you plug your stove into. It is $150. It's called Wallflower. You can find it at wallflower.com. And if your home is built before 1996, you're going to need one. If it's built after, you're going to need a different one. But the option is easy. The reason why, and that gets actually to some of the things behind stoves. It's actually, from a regulatory perspective, turning them off is apparently a big deal. So everybody who's like, I'm going to do this and I'm going to turn it off, they realize when they start getting through certification process or a UL process or some sort of like, hey, is this thing safe to put in my house? The regulators don't like them because they don't know if it's 100% over Wi-Fi that you can like move the motor and something will definitely be turned off. They don't feel comfortable with that yet. But that has not stopped people from trying. So the current one, and I've seen a lot of these and none of them have come to fruition yet, but there is currently one called Inirv, INIRV, and they are building a connected knob for your stoves, so 4 burner knobs. It works on gas and electric. And what it does is you put these on and it has a sensor, and when your stove is on, it will actually turn the knob off. But here is the catch. They did a Kickstarter in 2017. It does not look like they've delivered on it. They were on Shark Tank in 2018. And just this year, in February, they were part of the BSH Techstars Accelerator for the smart home. What does this mean? It means that they've been promising a product for a long time, and only now do I feel like they have the backing they would need to actually get it done. The Techstars BSH Accelerator program makes me feel like a little bit more confidence, but it's still not enough confidence that I'm like, this is really going to happen. But you can go on their website and reserve it, and it doesn't cost you a thing.
True. It will be nice to see if and when they deliver, they actually have a shipping date and people know. Because I love the idea of this. And we have a gas stove. So the Wallflower really wouldn't do squat for us. It'll shut off the igniters, I guess, but won't really do anything else. So this is something I would consider looking into or trying, but it just isn't there yet.
Yeah, and the starter kit for the Enerve is 1 sensor plus 1 knob is 100, and all the way up to 1 sensor and 4 knobs, which most stoves have 4 knobs, and that's $230.
That's a lot of money.
So it's a lot of money for peace of mind.
Yeah, you're almost in the territory of just spending the money on a connected stove.
Oh my gosh, and now we're back to that. Change out your whole appliance. That's our new motto. Buy more stuff.
Kitchen redo for everyone.
All right, moving along to a question from John, who I will confess I've never thought of this problem, so kudos to you, John. Let's hear it.
Hello, this is John Jobst of Columbia, Illinois, and I've been a little bit concerned about putting IoT devices throughout my home with lightning strikes nearby, power surges. I have power strips or uninterruptible power supplies for my computer equipment. But how concerned should I be about my IoT equipment? Thank you.
So I'll be honest, I actually haven't thought of this either, and maybe I should have, especially on my higher priced IoT devices. Something like a Google Home Mini, it's not like throwaway money to go buy one, but we're talking maybe $30 on sale. So I wouldn't be too concerned with things like that. But if you have spent, and you'll have to pick this number that suits your budget. But for me, anything that costs me more than $50 to replace, it might be worth getting surge protection for. So, maybe webcams, big smart speakers, hubs, and so on and so forth. I'm actually considering this now. So I'm glad John asked this question. What I would say, there's tons. If you go to Amazon, there are tons of surge protector choices out there. I'm going to point one out because it's relatively inexpensive for what you're trying to protect. Basically, under $15 gets you a surge protector that you plug in over top of an existing outlet, and it actually adds more outlets as well as USB ports, but you also get surge protection with it. So we'll put a link in the show notes. This one I think is $13, $14. There are bunches of them out there. So maybe look at this one and then see what the other ones, the related items are, and choose the ones that look the best to you or have the, the number of outlets you want and so on. But for something inexpensive, like a WiseCam, I'm not going to put a surge protector on a WiseCam. It's almost as much money to put the surge protector on than it cost me for the WiseCam. So that's my thought. And I don't know, Stacey, you may have a differing opinion.
I was just going to, if you want to go crazy, this is maybe less for your smart home stuff, although there's some interesting options here. Get a smart surge protector. So there are definitely connected surge protectors out there, but if you're a HomeKit fan, Eve has one called the Energy Strip. It is really pretty. It works with Google Assistant. The reason you might want to do a connected surge protector is actually to set rules around like when your smart devices are on, like your smart speaker is on or off. So you could maybe just not unplug it, but basically turn it off completely. That might get old for the speaker. Some things will need to be reset if you turn them off for too long of a time, but it's an interesting option for you if you're really worried about like privacy or things like that. And some people are like, you could set it up so your smart camera just is totally not even getting power when you come home. So even if like the worst case scenario where the company was like, I am really nefarious, I'm going to take over your camera and look at you, they couldn't.
Not if it's not on.
It would not have power. So that might be a reason to get a connected one. Although if they really wanted to see you, then they could hack your connected surge protector and then turn the camera back on. But that seems like a lot of work. So there's just throwing that out there as another option.
Yeah. Would you put surge protectors on any of your things versus not all of your things?
In some places like my office, I have surge protectors already in place and things are plugged into that by default, just because that's the outlets. But like in my kitchen, my smart display, which was $200, my Echo Show, which was another $200, I think, those are plugged into just normal, they're GFI outlets, but that's about it.
What about your June? Because that would not be inexpensive to replace.
It is not plugged into a surge protector, but neither is my $800 coffee maker. So clearly I'm just not consistent. And that's not smart.
No.
I know.
So it looks like John, as well as you and I, will be spending some money on surge protectors.
Stacy, who knows? I'm just like, I've got renter's insurance or home insurance. Next up, we've got a question that we also get
all the time.
This question is from Aaron. So
and everybody else.
Yeah, if we were playing Q&A bingo, this would be like the center square. Here we go.
Hi, Stacy and Kevin. My name is Aaron. I currently have a Wink hub that I'm running most of my smart home through, but I am concerned about the long-term viability of Wink, just based on they have no current products coming out, and I don't want to get stuck at some point when it is suddenly disconnected and doesn't work. Do you have alternatives to what you could transition to in the future, or what I could consider? Thank you, and have a good day.
Aaron, I wish I had a better answer for you. When preparing the show, I sent Wink PR emails. I looked through LinkedIn to see who I still knew there. I sent another email to someone random that I was like third degree connected to.
I kid you not, Stacy reaches out to these folks every couple of weeks, and it's been going on for months. It's not like we have not tried to find out, but it's just a black hole.
It is. So officially, I've got nothing. So unofficially, I can tell you that the last update was March 4th, which feels like a long time ago. I also haven't heard from Wink yet on the deprecation of Nest, whereas all of my other smart home devices have sent me emails saying, hey, did you hear that Google was, killing Nest? And now they're like, Google's not killing Nest quite the same way, but it's still going to happen. So here's what you need to do. So I feel like I can't recommend Wink anymore to people. If you have Wink, it still works.
Mm-hmm. I'm in the same boat, to be honest. I kind of feel it was my go-to hub recommendation for so long, but over time, as nothing has come to light of what's going on, I don't feel comfortable recommending it. I will say that on the Google Play Store that the Wink folks are responding to reviews with questions as early as 3 weeks ago. So it's not like it's a total black hole. There are still people there. They're still working. The Wink hubs, as you said, Stacy, still work. I think people are just like wondering, will there be new products? What's the long-term strategy? Is there a long-term for Wink? What's going on, really? So, yeah.
Yeah. Don't buy it for people thinking that it's going to be around forever. But for now, it does still work. If you have it, yay. If you want another hub option, I would sell you SmartThings. It's a little bit harder. I would also tell you maybe you don't need a hub. I know. I get angry emails, though, when I say that.
Yes.
But I'm going to say it anyway. Maybe you don't need a hub. If you're not a super power user, maybe Amazon or Google is a perfectly good hub for you. Okay, let's move on to another question. These are questions we get a lot, you guys. But we're answering them all here because we don't want you to think that we don't listen to you. So this one is from Jeff, and he has a question about the mail. Let's hear it.
Hi, Stacey and Kevin. Love your show. I had a question about a Wi-Fi mailbox alert. I have a mail guard back in the day from Radio Shack, and it kind of beeps inside the house. But I was wondering if they have something that is connected, either something that can listen to that tone that I have, or something that will alert me from wherever I am that my mailbox door had been opened. I have pretty good coverage towards my mailbox with Wi-Fi, so I was just wondering your opinion. I couldn't really find anything on my own. I look forward to your answer. Have a great day. Thank you, guys.
As you said, we get this question a lot. That's actually a good thing that we sometimes get the same question over and over because new products come out, new solutions are available. And this is a solution that I don't think we've recommended before because it's relatively new. I have to say, Jeff is like major old school with that Radio Shack mail guard. I mean, that is proprietary. It's a light sensor that goes in the mailbox and sends a chime into his house.
But in fairness, that's really all you need, right?
It is, but it's proprietary, and thus his question, how can I connect this to Wi-Fi? The short answer is you can't, unfortunately, not easily, but we may have an alternative that's not terribly expensive.
Well, wait, should we explain why Wi-Fi is probably not everyone's first choice here?
Well, yes, we should, because most mailboxes are probably Faraday cages where it's really hard to get a signal out, but the proprietary frequencies are typically in the 900 megahertz range, which can travel better through walls.
They travel better through metal and walls, and they also travel further.
Yes.
So Wi-Fi is a shorter wavelength frequency at 2.4 and then even shorter at 5.
Yes.
And what's happening is the spectrum can't make it through, or it can't make it as far. And then the other thing to think about there is a lot of them, Wi-Fi sucks a lot of battery power.
Exactly. However, Jeff says he has good Wi-Fi range. Maybe the signals of a Wi-Fi device inside his mailbox can get through. So what we're going to recommend is he consider one of the new Blink cameras that runs on a battery for up to 2 years. It is still Wi-Fi. You get a 1-camera system and a sync module to connect it to your network for $80. If you put that in the place of your mail guard and you can get a signal from it through your mailbox, you're in good shape. There's no way we can guarantee that because we don't know the distance of your mailbox. Is your mailbox made of half-inch thick metal or cardboard? I have no idea. So we don't know for sure if it will work, but this is probably the best option I've seen in a while for very specific circumstances where a Wi-Fi monitoring system for a mailbox could work.
Agreed. And we also tried the Wyze sensors. I'll just throw this out here for you because they're cheap and $40 gets you what you might need. We found that the hub could not be located more than about 30 to 40 feet through a front door. So I don't know if that's going to work for you either. But
yes, before this show, Stacy marched outside of her house with her Wyze Sense and measured it out.
Opened and closed it several times to see how far it would go.
See, that would be ideal because, again, that's low power battery and so on. And it might work in Jeff's case. Again, I don't know where his mailbox is. It might be just outside his front door. I don't know.
Yeah,
So
and if your camera's like right by a front window or something, so the wireless is a little better because this is sub gigahertz, so somewhere in 900, maybe 415 gigahertz is what the Wyze sensors are using. So, might work. And it's cheap if you want to try it. So those are the options. I wish I had like a cool Wi-Fi photo sensor that would be magically able to work, but we don't have that. That is not an option, Jeff. All right. Moving right along with another question for Wi-Fi. It's a good one. So this is from Daniel. Let's hear it.
Hi, guys. I just wanted to say I really love the show. I bought an Amazon Echo about a year ago, and I found you guys' show, I guess, maybe 11 or 10 or 11 months ago, and I listen to it every Thursday. But my question is, what's the best setup for your Wi-Fi router? The safest setup? I don't know. I've heard some people say that a VLAN is the best. I've heard other people say like a guest network is the best. So I just wanted to ask you guys' opinion on that. I don't have any Zigbee or Z-Wave devices, only Google Assistant and Alexa, so just cloud-based.
we get this question a lot. Today's routers, today's networks aren't meant really to protect IoT devices specifically. I mean, they're meant to protect you from the outside world getting in general. Honestly, you could use a guest network. We've talked about that before. You could use the guest network for all of your devices. That is an option because that's kind of locked down a little bit more than, say, your standard network. That you could look into. There are certain products out there we've looked into and talked about before. The Bitdefender box is $199. It sits behind your router and it's supposed to help filter traffic and watch for suspicious network activity. So maybe if your IoT devices are going out to somewhere where they shouldn't be, it might work. I guess we're not really big fans of that, though, because we've never really seen detailed testing to show that it fixes it.
I've tried some of this stuff, and it does work. I don't know if my life is... Yeah, because I feel like right now I'm not being attacked. So part of this is, part of your risk profile. I will say the nicest feature that I'd like to have, and I think you should have it, although I think it should be free personally, is understanding what devices are on your network and getting a notification when something gets on your network. So
which do you use? I forget. Is it Eero?
I have the Eero service. Mm-hmm. Soon I will be up in a Comcast service area and I'll try theirs. But Eero does let me know. It's like, boop, this weird device has joined your network. And you're like, cool, thanks. And if it's a super weird device, I'm like,
Mm-hmm. And I use Google Wi-Fi. You don't have to pay for that type of information, but it's passive. However, you actually have to open the app and see what devices are on your network. So it's not like it notifies you when something has joined. It doesn't proactively tell you that there's a new device or anything like that. So I periodically go through that because sometimes I even find devices that we've sold or recycled that are still quote unquote attached to the network, and I clean those out. But there's nothing automatic about that, and no notifications either.
Okay. That's the one thing. The other thing I would say is if I were doing this all again from scratch, and I will be soon.
You will be, yes.
I would set up my network, and I would set up all my IoT devices on that, and I would also have my guest network. And nobody but me and maybe my husband, because I do travel a lot, will get the password for the core network. And everybody else, including my child, will be on the guest network. And the reason I will do that is because my child is going to give out our guest network password to all of her friends. And also because children download all kinds of weird stuff. I download weird stuff too, but kids are like, oh yeah, I totally need this.
So no friends are coming over to your house when you move. I got it.
No. They just get the guest network. Okay. So, when you're buying a mesh Wi-Fi system, make sure that it has easy. I mean, Eero basically, if I can just go into the app and I'm like, I can text you, I can email you a guest network code. It'd be kind of cool if I could show you a QR code on my phone and you could just snap it and get on the Wi-Fi.
Ooh.
Add that. Are you hearing me, Eero? Add that. That's the other network safeguard I would say for you. It's not necessarily the security products, but it's just a nice best practice.
And if anybody has purchased a device or a service to help with this, I would actually like to hear about that. Call us back. We've had some people tell us what they do, but again, there are always new services, new products coming out, and it's been a while since we've addressed this question. So it could be that I have not been on the up and up with what's going on in this space.
Get on the up and up, Kevin.
Yeah, I know.
All right. Our next caller isn't actually a caller. It's someone who emailed and really felt uncomfortable leaving a voicemail. So
we respect that.
I was like, I respect that. So this is from Kirill, and I'm going to read his question out loud. I wonder if you can help me find a solution to this scenario. I have a tablet that is always on, connected to power, and is showing a web page with Action Tiles control panel. I want to be able to see the video from my Ring Pro doorbell when there is motion or somebody presses the doorbell button, or when I issue a voice command like, Madam A, show me the front door. Currently, my tablet is not an Amazon Fire tablet, but I would consider replacing it if the Fire tablet can do what I want. I know the Amazon Show can display the video from the Ring, but I don't like the price of the Show.
Totally fair comment about the Amazon Show. I'm just not a fan of that device in general, and not just because of the price. I just don't care for it, even though I have some smart displays.
I love it.
That's fine. You buy everything that Amazon shows, listens to, or whatever. So that's all you. This was interesting to me because I didn't know about Action Tiles, which, as Kirill had said, is a web-based, customizable bunch of tiles that show a tile for each one of your smart home devices. It's really made for smart things. He didn't mention that. I don't think it works with anything else, so I'm assuming he has smart things. Because it's web-based, it works with just about any tablet or phone. So, I mean, you could even use an iPad for it. But that's not going to solve the problem that Kirill has posed to us. So a Fire tablet, I hate to say, is probably the best and lowest cost option. However, Lenovo actually makes a Smart Tab, which is also an Android tablet. Comes in two sizes, 8 or 10 inches. And similar to what Kirill's doing, Kirill has his tablet always plugged in, this includes a speaker dock. And when you put the Smart Tab in the speaker dock, you essentially transform it into an Echo Show. And at that point, you can ask Madam A to show your Ring or do whatever you need her to do. They start around $199, go up to $350 depending on the specs. So obviously much more expensive than your Fire HDs, which you can get sometimes for $50. But if you want a decent tablet that you can actually take out of the dock, have it charged, use as a tablet, and then put it back in to use it as an Echo Show, it's a nice option. I will say, because it's an Android tablet, the native default assistant is Google. So when it is not docked, if you ask it a question, only Google's going to listen and answer. If you put it in the dock, then Madam A will be the default. So I like this because it gives you a wider range of options. If you just want a tablet that just is going to show your Ring doorbell, go for the Fire HD tablet. If you want something that is much more flexible, I'd consider this if your budget allows for it.
All right. Kirill, hope that answers your questions. All right. Thank you guys so much for calling in with all of your questions for the Q&A episode of the Internet of Things podcast. These are brought to you by Schlage and Affero. So big props to our sponsors. That's right, I just sang. You can find more about Schlage at www.schlage.com. And you can find more information about Affero at www.affero.io/gobig. Lots of options for you. Thank you so much for calling in. Kevin, thank you for spending time answering these questions with me.
My pleasure, and I agree. Thank you, everybody who calls in.
Yes, because we learn a lot doing this too.
Absolutely.
And if you want more IoT information, feel free to sign up for the Stacy on IoT newsletter at www.stacyoniot.com. Ta-da! That's it for this week. Thanks so much for listening. And remember, if you'd like more IoT news, sign up for my newsletter at stacyoniot.com. We'll see you next week.